Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought, of course, that I would talk about this little subject in this little video that I thought was very particularly interesting. So, I thought that I would review this little video by that of 78 Sports TV. Oftentimes, I don't tend to review videos from that of 78 Sports TV because I do find some of his commentary, at least about certain boxers, to be a little bit biased. He is a part of the LDBC and new media. And as I have said before, in my view, that's the LDBC and new media, that they have a very clear agenda overall to promote certain fighters over others. And don't get me wrong, there are other channels there as well, but this conversation was very particularly interesting to me because Miss Claressa Shields, of course known as the quote-unquote GOAT of women's boxing, the greatest woman of all time, of course, and looked at by many people as the clear number one pound for pound women's boxer in the world, including by me, especially ever since Katie Taylor suffered her first defeat, even though, of course, she got a bit older. But right now, Claressa Shields, she's the most dominant in women's boxing. Well, Claressa Shields now is once again calling out Keith Thurman. And for those of you that do not remember, she also did this, I believe, several years ago, or maybe just a few years back. And not only did she call out Keith one time Thurman, she also called out Sean Showtime Porter, and also said that she wanted to possibly fight Triple G, who of course is Gennady Triple G Golovkin. And this has just been very particularly interesting. And in my personal view, this is a great example of a lot of the negatives overall that of the quote-unquote feminist movement has really done for that of America, and in terms of that of Western civilization. And this is a big example of why, in my view, that the feminist movement, it really brings nothing but that of confusion, and it brings nothing but that really of negative things. It really brings nothing overall but that of negative competition. And competition is always a good thing to a certain degree. But when you're putting the man and the woman, two parties that are supposed to be conjoining together overall to work, their best to see how they could complement each other the best. When you all of a sudden put those two and put it in their minds that they're both completely equal and that they can do everything that the other person can do, and you try and compare a lot of these women athletes and say that Ronda Rousey can beat Floyd Mayweather Jr., and that Claressa Shields, that she can beat certain men out there, and Serena Williams, she's the greatest tennis player of all time, even though she's never competed in the men's tennis circuit. That's when all of a sudden you create a lot of the narratives in a lot of these women's minds that they should be competing against the men, which of course in my view is not healthy, because not everything a man can do, the woman can do, and vice versa. So it is what it is. But anyways, 78 Sports TV was going to talk about it. I thought that it was very particularly interesting because Claressa Shields has been talking shit about this now for a very long time when it comes down to it. And a lot of these feminists and a lot of these super duper leftist women and leftist people, they love to try and promote this idea. Overall, once again, there was a lot of them that said Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather. There was a lot of them that were saying that some of these WNBA players, they could do just as well as the NBA players or can compete with them, that they should get equal pay as well as the soccer players, and for, the people, including Claressa Shields, that support this idea, you know what, I support it too. You know why that is? Because in order to stop someone like this, it almost is like that of a child throwing a temper tantrum. There's pretty much two solutions to it. Either you don't entertain them and you pretty much ignore them, and you really don't address them whatsoever until pretty much they behave right, and you basically do not treat them overall mano a mano with conversation, and you say, we're not gonna, really acknowledge you until you take things seriously, and you take things in a logical way, or sometimes you have to teach them a very harsh lesson. It just is what it is. Sometimes you have to put them in timeout. Overall, of course, in the olden days, you'd have to spank them possibly. You might have to do something else in terms of a punishment, of course, without going too severe, of course, just to clarify. But when it comes down to, Claressa Shields, she's been talking about this once again for about several years now. And in my personal view, once again, there's two ways to handle it. I think if you're Keith one time Thurman, that you really don't even entertain the idea at all, and that you don't even want to respond to her, because I think it looks bad on you. and why even, respond to something overall that is more than likely a lose situation for you. Or, once again, you could also handle it the other way, which is that they could actually sanction a boxing fight between that of Keith One Time Thurman and Claressa Shields. And instead of making it a 10-round fight, make it a 12-round fight, make it a 12-round championship fight, make it for Claressa Shields' belt overall for that of the middleweight division when it comes down to it. And then on top of that, make it 3-round fights. And I promise you that Claressa Shields, if Keith Thurman did ever go all out, but he wouldn't even need to go all out. He'd only have to go about 50%. If he even went 50% on Claressa Shields, I promise you, Claressa Shields does not make it past the 6th round. I don't even know if she makes it past the first 4. All right? It is what it is. Hell, even past the first 3. So like I said, there is a couple ways to handle this. Now, a lot of people may say, well, Mr. Boxing Realist, how could you say overall that you possibly support a fight of this happening when it comes down to it? Because Claressa Shields, she has a great career ahead of her. She could get very badly hurt in this fight. She could even potentially get killed. And that is absolutely correct. But you know what? That's the only way that some of these women are really going to learn that they should not be calling out these men in the first place. That is the only way that they are going to learn when they finally see overall what the true difference is and what the true different level of caliber actually is. And don't get me wrong, I respect women's boxing and a certain amount of the other women's sports out there. But you are not entitled to something overall that is not given to you overall, or you are not entitled to just everything that you want out there. And at the end of the day, women's boxing and men's boxing, yes, they are both boxing, but they are 2 separate sports. It just is what it is. But 78 Sports TV, he's going to talk about it. I just thought that I would tune in. Let's get straight into it.
78 Sports TV here. Salute to the mighty LDBC, Lions Den Boxing Community. For those who don't know, now you know. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I drop a new video. If you're digging the video, go ahead and share this joint. All right, man. So let's get right down to the smoke, man. The most ridiculous thing of the day. Rears its ugly head again. Claressa Shields, the greatest female boxer we have on the planet today, in my opinion, 2-time undisputed, is calling out Keith One Time Thurman, a male boxer, once again. Now, Claressa did this a couple years ago, and I spoke out against it back then.
If you also want shit like this to stop, you also have to stop fucking putting Claressa Shields on a pound-for-pound list with other male boxers. I see dumbasses do this all the time on YouTube or certain other people. They put Claressa Shields or they'll put these MMA women in the top 15, the top 10 pound-for-pound list. Stop doing that shit, because all you're doing overall is giving these women the fantasy that they're, on the same caliber as these men in terms of the sport, and that they can compete with them when they cannot. All right, it is what it is. And that is not me saying that they're not great for their sport, but once again, women's fights for championship level fights, there are 10 rounds, and each of the rounds are 2 minutes. It's not 3 rounds, and it's not 12 rounds. It's not 3 minutes, and it's not 12 rounds. All right, I promise you that, once again, you put one of these female boxers in there, you put Claressa Shields in there with Keith One Time Thurman, she is going to get the shit kicked out of her.
Now she's doing it again after the Spence Crawford fight. She's calling out Keith Thurman again. She believes she's a superior fighter. She believes she's bigger than Keith Thurman, and she can beat Keith Thurman. There's something about Keith Thurman's swag. There's something about the way Keith Thurman carries himself that makes Claressa Shields think he's sweet or it's food. And Keith Thurman is in a...
Claressa Shields as a boxer actually reminds me a lot of Keith One Time Thurman. They both, are somewhat semi-slick, but at times they can leave their hands down a little bit too often. When it comes down to it, and they can be hit. That's why Claressa Shields has been knocked down before and been hit before. It is what it is. But like I said, you know what? Let's actually make this fight happen. Let's let Claressa Shields, fight a 12-round fight against Keith One Time Thurman, and let it set up for the belts. Since so many people they don't want to talk about this, and they don't want to, they want to always try to intermix, men's and women's sport. Why don't we all of a sudden just try and make, women's belts all of a sudden also viable for men's? And you'll see how fast those belts start to go. There will not be one woman with the belt in the world.
Bad situation here because you know he's constantly getting called out by this female, and now I seen an interview with Keith Thurman says that the only way he would fight Claressa Shields is if it was for charity, and she had to be allowed to wear hair gear and
Yeah, see, overall, he shouldn't have even said that. And I understand overall where he's coming from. I think Keith Thurman overall, I think he's just kind of trying to be nice and all this other shit. Listen, dude, when it comes to these type of delusional ass women and these, super duper liberals, you can't even entertain these guys. You can't be arguing with them because these guys are absolutely insane. They're like fucking schizophrenic, psychosis insane. And, there's no talking to someone that is mentally ill.
he would wear bigger gloves, and all he would do is jab. He said that's the only way he would do it, and it would have to go the money would have to go to a good cause or something like that. But he's not interested in fighting her for real. But Claressa Shields is ready. She want to fight Keith Thurman, and I don't know why, but she does. All right. I'm just gonna keep it 100. Y'all can feel how y'all want to feel. I'm not gonna.
And Keith Thurman, by the way, is not a light puncher. And I understand that Keith may not be necessarily what he once was. He might still be an A-minus level fighter. I promise you, if Claressa Shields thought Savannah Marshall could hit, and she can hit for a woman, no doubt about it, but, for a woman fighter, but if she thought Savannah Marshall could hit, the power that Keith Thurman is going to hit with her, it's going to be unlike any other punch she's ever felt.
Play this game, bro. I don't like when women do stuff like this. I don't like it. Claressa, I like Claressa. She's, what I'm saying? She's a monster when it comes to boxing. I support her 120%.
When it comes to women's boxing, that's also another big problem. We got to stop doing this bullshit, or a lot of, not me, because I've never done this, but, a lot of these, people got to stop saying, the undisputed champions of the world, Jermell Charlo, Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, Claressa Shields, you got to stop putting their minds, once again, that it's the same sport, because it's not. Because all that's going to lead to, once again, is a lot of these women thinking overall, well, my sport isn't being taken as seriously, so I need to challenge the men. No, at the end of the day, that is not something that needs to happen. But if they believe, once again, overall, that it needs to happen that badly, hey, no problem. Once again, make it a sanctioned body fight. Keith Thurman can fight for her middleweight titles when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, once again, make it 3-minute rounds, 12-round fight. Promise you, Claressa Shields does not go past 3.
They don't hear know that. But now you calling out dudes and stuff, like, you got to stop trying to prove that speed stick is strong enough for.
And once again, certain people may say, well, that's very brutal. She could get very badly, potentially hurt. She could even potentially get killed. Absolutely. But that's the only way that some of these people are going to learn. Once again, sometimes when someone opens their mouth, sometimes they learn overall by someone telling them, and sometimes they learn overall sometimes by getting a very big ass whoop. And sometimes people, unfortunately, learn a little bit too late, and it costs them their life.
Man, you're a beautiful woman. You're the best female. That got to be enough for you. This insecurity about, peeing standing up got to stop. You really got to let this stuff go. You got to embrace being the greatest woman of all time and understand what that means and what the responsibility of that means, right? Stop looking for ability that means, right? Stop looking for, oh, I'm just as good. Well, if I was a man, if you was a man, you wouldn't be Claressa Shields, right? You'd be one of these people that's walking around here out here now in this new society we live in. You understand? You wouldn't be Claressa Shields. You got to decide what it is that you want to do and who you want to be, right? Because this is something weird.
Interesting that 78 Sports TV just said that. He said that if you weren't a woman, or if you were a man, then you might just be another one of these people walking around out here. Now, I'm not really sure 100% what he meant by that, but it almost sounded like he said that if you were a man, you would not be as highly touted as what you were saying. And I agree. Listen, it's no offense. These very, very few women's sports, besides maybe MMA and women's tennis, from what I've seen, are they usually, at least against other women, just as skilled as what I've seen for that of the men's circuit. And even then, they can't compete against the men because the men are going to be built completely different. with their musculature and their skeletal structure, their quick twitch, just everything.
About this like the first time I let it go, but now she keep doing it. She keep calling out like she want to fight some dude, and we all know what's gonna happen. We all know what's gonna happen. You're not gonna beat.
Well, once again, sometimes you gotta let someone get their ass whooped. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, once again, people may say, oh, that's pretty harsh. That might potentially end her career. Hell, that could even potentially end her life. Yep, absolutely. Once again, loose lips sink ships.
Keith Thurman. This is ridiculous. Keith Thurman will knock Claressa Shields out smooth. Now, how you want to fight Keith Thurman, but you're not even knocking out the women that you fight? You outboxing them. You're not out here stopping and dominating women. I mean, I'm talking about, putting them to sleep. You're outboxing them. You're outskilling them. This is not a game. Just because you're in the gym sparring with dudes and they not hitting you full force.
Agreed. Thank you for saying that. Because there's a lot of these fucking fans out here that are saying, oh, well, Claressa Shields, she's sparring dudes and all this other shit. She's sparring guys either or that don't know how to fucking box for their life, or guys that really ain't going super hard on her anyway. I promise you, if she even gets in the ring with certain C-grade level fighters, if she even got in the ring with Luis Collazo, for example, a C-grade level fighter in that of boxing, she get her ass kicked.
You're just working on a few things and you getting confidence and stuff like that.
And I'm talking about going full out. Like she's not facing dudes. None of these female overall athletes are going full damn force against prime level male fighters or prime level male athletes, no matter what the sport is. And they're actually going mano a mano with them. Like, get the fuck out of here.
That stuff gas you up, Claressa. You know what I'm saying? Too many people just gassing up. You gotta stop this nonsense.
Well, the way that that's going to stop is when, once again, a lot of these men especially stop telling these females overall and, stop telling them in general that they can do everything that the men is going to do. And when people finally realize that equality, especially between the two genders, that it don't fucking exist. Because, once again, men and women are different. Once again, does this mean that the woman is any less valuable than that of the man? No. Both women and men, they're great at certain things. And that does not mean that certain women cannot be great athletes. But when you start talking all this shit about, oh, I can compete with the men or I can do this. There was a story, I believe, actually a couple stories for those of you that are interested. Serena Williams, who they always try to push as one of the, the great, the best athlete of all time. All our bullshit when it comes down to it. And don't get me wrong, as a woman athlete, she is. But once again, I don't interject men and women in the same category. They're two separate sports, right? It is what it is. But, there was a story actually that Serena Williams, she's pretty built overall for a woman in that of tennis. I'll let you guys come to your own conclusion, whatever you may think. I don't want to put any allegations out there, but, it is what it is. Anyways, when it comes down to Serena Williams, she fought, I believe, or she competed against a man that was ranked 500th or 700th in the world. Dude was completely out of shape. He drank, he smoked. Professional tennis player, and the dude completely dominated her. Wasn't even close. They're one of the professional USA women's soccer teams overall out there. They fought a D-League team, or they were against a D-League level soccer team filled with 40-year-olds and people who are not in shape. They got beat 12-0. All right, 12-0. All right. So once again, a lot of these women, they're not going to learn until they finally get their ass whooped overall in their profession, until they finally get taught that lesson. Because unfortunately, the liberal ideologies, they have just poisoned the mind, unfortunately, of a lot of these women and a lot of these people in general.
This is dangerous territory for Claressa. It is. You know what I'm saying? A woman gotta understand and be able to sense danger and know when to back down. That's what a woman has to do. That's an instinct. A woman gotta be able to know and sense danger, right? Know your capabilities and say, okay.
Well, a lot of the times when it comes down to it, and this is not to offend anyone in particular, but a lot of the times, not only do a certain amount of these women, not only overall do they not know how to sense danger, or not know how to disarm it, but they create danger. That's why a lot of the times these men, sometimes they're getting in fights over some of these women. Sometimes there are certain men or boyfriends overall that have their girlfriend that they're getting in fights with these men overall because of a misunderstanding, and certain men end up getting killed overall because of that woman because she somewhat started an argument, or there might be some dude on the street overall that it's none of his business, and he thinks overall there's a certain argument going on, and then basically those two dudes might get killed or one of them might get killed, and then they go to jail, they go to prison, one dude ends up dead and she gets off scot-free. When it comes down to, so once again, really it's important for a lot of these women in general to know when to not start trouble. But unfortunately, once again, a lot of these liberal leftist ideologies and the feminist movement, especially because a lot of the times there is no consequences, for the actions of a woman, especially in westernized civilizations, they basically are free willy to do anything they want.
Hey, well, I'm not going to do that. But you don't walk into danger. You don't go looking for danger. You know what I'm saying? I respect Claressa Shields' competitive nature, her spirit, that she wants to fight and she want to prove she's the best and all that. I respect all of that. But there's plenty of people out here, females, that you can fight. You know what I'm saying? You want to challenge yourself, move up and wait. You know what I'm saying? You got Shadacia Green them out there and stuff. Do that kind of stuff. But fighting dudes, it ain't no glory in that because it's not fair to the man because it's no glory in it for him. Now, what is Keith Thurman gonna do? He go out there and he try to show you respect and he just jab you. Okay, the first time you land any type of shot, the crowd go crazy and wow, yeah. Now the first time he hit you and he knock you out or knock you down, everybody gonna be mad at him. Oh man, Keith Thurman beat up a girl. Keith Thurman beat up a girl.
And I agree, and that's why I say that Keith Thurman, he should have not even said anything. He should have not even said the charity shit. Once again, I think that he was trying to be nice somewhat and respectful, but Claressa Shields is not a respectful person. She is one of these brainwashed feminists when it comes down to it, and those people are crazy. They are not sane when it comes down to it. The ideologies overall that they believe in, when it comes down to it, it is not natural. All right, it is not certain the natural order of things. That's why they overall demand certain shit like this. That's like that one girl, they wanted to give her a scholarship overall for being in football. I can't even remember what her name was. I think her name was like Tony Harris or some shit like that. And they tried to give her a scholarship for football. Once again, you know what? Like I said, I would like to see one of these women overall who allegedly want a man's position so bad. Let them join football. Let them join football. When it comes down to it, let them be on the front line. Let them be a running back or whatever they want to be. Don't let them just sit in the background and be a goddamn kicker or some of this other shit. Let them overall be whatever they want to be. Let them be a running back and see how long they last. Bet you money they don't last one game.
Man, y'all know that's what's going to happen. So why even play games? This is the same problem I had when.
And once again, a lot of people may say, well, that's very serious because it could cause them very catastrophic injuries and all sorts of stuff. Once again, sometimes you just got to let certain people fail. Sometimes someone has to be taught a very, 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 very harsh lesson, unfortunately.
Years ago, when the media was trying to push this whole notion that Ronda Rousey would beat Floyd Mayweather.
Get cable-free live TV with no hidden fees or long-term contracts and 100+ channels. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Well, Ronda Rousey should beat Floyd Mayweather. Ronda Rousey beat Floyd. I told you it was ridiculous. I don't care if Ronda Rousey is a judo expert or whatever. If she grabs him and all this old stuff, it's ridiculous for this hypocritical country to be talking about a man and a woman fighting when you all know what would happen if Floyd just went to jail for allegedly putting his hands on a woman. But now y'all want to promote a man and a woman fighting. You see how did this country like to blur the lines ever so slightly? Get you used to.
Well, you like to blur the lines a lot of the times too, depending on the narrative, because it's no offense against you, 78 Sports TV, but pretty much anyone who's involved in the new media and LDBC cult, and I've pretty much said this, all they are is a pro-black cult. So whenever it comes to certain guys like Tyson Fury, Lomachenko, Canelo Alvarez, they're not going to be talking positive about them because their main narrative is to make sure that certain guys like that don't get to the top of the pound for pound list anyway. Don't get me wrong, that's not me saying that I disagree with everything that some of these guys say, because there is a lot of double standards against black athletes and black fighters. But once again, you got to keep the same energy and same standards for everybody else. You got to be somewhat logical and objective and fair.
A little weirdo behavior. Before you know it, we got what we got now. Before you know it, we got what we got now. Running around all over this country. A bunch of mess. Confused people. Don't know who they is, and now I was born this way. I don't know how I feel. I think I.
And what is 78 Sports TV talking about? The transgender movement, and I agree. When it comes down to it, and a certain amount of people overall may not like that. It is what it is. You're telling me overall there are certain people that are born, quote unquote, the wrong gender overall, and they say that they have to change their gender when it came down to it, and overall that they, because they just feel that way and all sorts of shit, they want to let them go in any bathroom. They wanted to push a bill when it comes down to it, all in all, saying that the transgenders could enter any bathroom, and that their transitions would be free when other certain medical things that are actually more necessitative, they're not free when it came down to it. And on top of that, the procedure takes about 10, possibly even more years off your life anyway. That's why I said, this transgenderism bullshit when it comes down to it. This is not something that ever should have started in the first place. But once again, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a conservative by any means, because a lot of the shit overall that they do, especially behind the scenes, it's not great either. But the liberals, in my view, overall, they push a lot of this confusion and a lot of the shit overall that creates a lot of the negatives. This transgenderism bullshit when it comes down to it, and trust me, eventually when they get the opportunity, they are going to try and push pedophilia. They will eventually. It is what it is. That's why they've already came out with certain terms like that of MAPS, if you haven't heard of it, or minor attracted persons, because they're trying to already push pedophilia when it comes down to it. They always try to create confusion. On top of that, they have already tried to say that ex-cons or cons should be allowed to vote, people in prison, and that they should lower the voting age to that of 16 years old. So once again, for those of you that are super duper left and into this liberal bullshit, that's what the Liberal Party does for you. On top of that, putting the most amount of abortion clinics in that of minority communities, especially in that of black communities. They were in charge of the KKK party when it came down to it. That's what the Liberal Party does for you. And don't get me wrong, the Conservative Party, in my view, they're not great either. But at the end of the day, there are so many people that are fooled by this narrative that the Liberal Party, that, they're just completely for them and that they're going to save them. The Liberal Party is out for nothing other than really your termination, especially if you're a minority. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about you.
Should have been this or that. People got to play their position and respect their position. And I'm not finna play with nobody's delusions or none of that stuff. I'm not finna do it, okay? When I come on here and say I'll destroy a T-Rex and I mow them down, y'all know I'm playing. I'm just talking. You know what I'm saying? These are jokes. If I see a T-Rex in real life, guess what I'm going to do? Book it. I'm running for the hills, baby.
Yeah, well, I fucking hope so, man. I think anyone sees a T-Rex in real life, I think that'd be the logical thing to do. I don't know where that came from, but anyways, that's pretty much about it for the video. I just wanted to review that overall because I agreed with a certain amount of things that 78 Sports TV had to say here, and this delusion overall that is really being created by that of the leftist agenda and the feminist movement. Just another delusion overall that has been tried to be spurred upon the people that really does nothing but create a bunch of confusion and negativity. It is what it is. And once again, these feminists, these quote-unquote women, they always claim that they want equality. When it comes down to, okay, well, you want equality so bad, why don't we put it up for Claressa Shields' titles? Then I bet you money these feminists that might be pushing or clamoring for that, all of a sudden they say, oh, well, no, you can't do that. Why not? So once again, we'll see. We'll see. But like I said, there's one or two ways that this could be fixed, but in order for this to be completely fixed, I think that a lot of the people on ESPN and certain people, they also would have to commentate on this or not entertain the idea, either completely ignore it, or you say flat out on the know that no, you're not a part of the men's league. You are not on their caliber. You are not in their league. Stay within your particular sport. You are in a separate sport. But everyone's so afraid to say something because, a lot of the leftist ideologies and a lot of the sporting media anyway, especially ESPN, they're bought off liberals anyway. So, they're not going to, commentate on that, but it is what it is. Anyways, that's pretty much about it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later. Hopefully, no one else entertains this idea, let alone Keith Thurman. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's pretty much about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.